Following months of negotiations, Kingsmere Council have withdrawn their support for the development of a football stadium on the land near Victoria Square. They cited noise, congestion and space as being the key factors in their decision. Upon hearing this news, silent investors with links to King Edward University have successfully acquired the land. Their proposed plans have already been approved, and I'm excited to say the development starts today. Due to the location and access to the university, the plans that they've created are a mixed use area which will host modernised student accommodation, riverside walkways, a few sports fields and social areas. The key focal point of this area will be King Tower, which will be a mixed use tower which will become Kingsmere's tallest building. And that's all going on our land you can see in front of us. So welcome to Kingsmere. Welcome back if you've been here before, but welcome if you're new. We are building a UK inspired town with a sprinkle of my own creativity, and in this British series we're focusing on our nice city of Kingsmere. We're mixing the UK region pack with a few custom assets to hopefully create somewhere nice to live. This particular build today, I've been toying with the ideas. I've spent so much hours messing around with things, and I've been kind of struggling with what to build there, but I think we've got some sort of an idea now, so I'm very excited to try and put it together. So this is the land that we're talking about. Originally the plans were to build some sort of a stadium here and have like this nice sort of area. However, those kind of plans fell through. The council didn't approve of them, citing there'll be too much noise for all of these people, too much congestion, but I did try to counteract that with our nice little designated bus lane that would go through to here with a bus station, but I guess not. Hey ho, it's the powers that be. So you might notice a few things that are different. There are a couple of changes on these buildings here. I've just adjusted these slightly, as you can see. Obviously this is all different. I've added a key around here in preparation for our development, and a few more cycle paths, a few roads which are probably going to change, but they all look pretty good. And then over in Victoria Square, we're going to rename Kingsmere Station to Victoria Station. It just kind of makes sense to me, so we're going to rename you Victoria Station. As it's in Victoria Square, it just kind of makes sense. And then a couple of things that you might notice: all of our taxis are now black, like in London, black cabs, although they all seem to be whatever these are. What are these, like Jaguars? Yeah, but they're all black. And then our postman Pat vans, if we can find any post vans. That's a post van, is it not? They're all red, like the Royal Mail, apart from the little circle. But yeah, they're all post vans, they're all red, a little bit like the Royal Mail, which kind of makes sense. And then our buses are red, of course. So yeah, looks a little bit better, a little bit cooler. You might also notice that the bike lanes are slightly different colour. I've kind of darkened them just a little bit. They don't really look much different, but yeah. And then the final thing that you might notice is these bollards. These are now... Oh, I missed one. Oops. Well spotted, everybody. I've just changed these to like these raised sort of things instead of those little stick bollards that we had. I think they just look a little bit better. I've left the same here, but then alongside this bit as well, I've just added all of these around there. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty good. Anyway, so let's start here. So this is, obviously we've got the university right here, and it's actually, although it seems really far away, the access is really good, because all you do is just cross here, and then you cross there, and you're literally there immediately. So it's pretty decent, and a lot of these students are not going to drive in this city, so I think this is quite a good little area for them to reside. Nice walkability, nice cycle paths. As you can see, these are all basically all connected up all around everywhere. We've adjusted this centre road to a cycle lane just to add a bit more protection to our vulnerable road users, because we don't want anybody getting smashed off their bike onto the floor while they're trying to go study about, I don't know, like crisps or something, whatever people do at uni nowadays. But yeah, so let's begin. So in this portion here, obviously we've changed these buildings, and I think they look a little bit better than our original ones. But actually, in this section, I'm going to kind of try and keep this kind of density sort of going a little bit, just to make it lower. But the controversial thing that we're going to look at is we wanted to... Where are you? Is it Urban Promenades? Yeah, so this elementary school, I love the building. I think the actual way that this building looks is fantastic. I really, really like it. So I think it gives us sort of vibes that this is all one big mixed-use area with a few apartments on the top. I really, really like the way that that looks. So we're going to actually have these buildings, all three of them, all aligned along this road to make it look like it is basically one key new kind of development that was all built together. I think it just kind of makes sense, and it looks pretty good. And the bonuses, yeah, they'll cost a bit of money, however, we'll get people into elementary school education. So yeah, win-win. And that nicely backs on to this nice cycle path as well, which people will begin to use once we develop this area a little bit better. Now, I'm not going to place this just yet, but I'm just going to give you a sneak peek of King Tower, and it is an awesome looking building. It kind of fits the theme still because it's not too overwhelming and big, but it certainly is tall enough to kind of make a statement that Kingsmere is trying to work its way into the modern times, and the investors in this development are spending a decent bit of cash on some nice looking student accommodation. So this is going to be the tower. We'll place it down in the future, but for the time being we're actually going to start by the river. So we're going to start off in this area here, and I'm just going to start by trying to greenerise, make this kind of area more parky and a little bit nicer, because at the moment it just looks a bit dull and boring, with all these people just looking around saying, where are the parks? Whoa, e-scooter, wow. But yes, let's focus on this area first. So we're not actually going to put any houses here, as you can see. We've kind of adjusted a few things, but this area we would quite like to be nicer. So we're going to start off with some actual proper normal zoning. What am I on about? Surface area. So we're going to put some grass down and just kind of start off with a nice bit of grass, just to differentiate this area from the other grass areas, because this needs to look nice and well kept and manicured and all that stuff, so that it gives that nice new area sort of vibes instead of the run down and janky sort of area. So we're going to try and grass out a bit of this, and just kind of get the basics of this green sort of park area together, and then we'll go from there. I forgot to mention, we're actually making this, we're very much on the edge, but we are making money. And if you've watched this channel for a little while, you know that I don't play with money turned on, and the fact that I'm actually in the green is quite impressive. I did do a little bit of messing around with some of the budget, so I've reduced some of the kind of services just a little bit and put the taxes up just slightly to assist us with that, so that we don't go completely broke. But we'll focus a little bit on the budget at some point in the future, but for the time being we're just going to focus on building what we want to build, because that's kind of my style. And what I will say is everybody has their own styles of playing games, and however you want to play your own game is absolutely fine. So yeah, that's my style. I just kind of like to build. I don't like to be drawn and controlled by the money and the budget. I prefer to just make things that I personally think is nice, and then some of you kind of agree with me, some of you comment saying, no, I don't like the look of that, which is, again, perfectly fine, because I always appreciate your feedback. But yes, the grass is going down as expected, and I'm kind of debating whether we change the pathways. So obviously we've got, these are the normal pathways, aren't they? They're just the default pathways. But then over by our Royal Mail headquarters, we changed them to this kind of brick, which I actually think looks quite nice. So So I'm kind of thinking, do we want to do that or not? Because autosave. The problem is we might have to do it with these keys as well, which I don't think we're going to be able to do without causing absolute chaos. So let's just have a quick look to see what would happen if I did this. It's just not gonna play ball, that is it? Not at all. We could do it like that, or alternatively we could just grab something slightly different. Maybe what's that gonna look like if we just have a little mess around with this pathway? No. That's not good. I'm gonna have a little mess around with them and see if anything else looks good. Probably won't, but we'll have a look. So I've started on the central sort of park walkway area that we've got here. So as you can see, starting from the water's edge, we've got this eagle monument. Same one as we've actually got all the way in the retail park over there. But I just think it looks quite nice. Somebody in the comments, you can feel free to... I obviously know that it's like the Armenian eagle monument. However, for the purpose of our city, this is completely relevant to our city. So if anybody wants to think of some lore behind the eagle monuments, like when King Edward, his house crest had an eagle on it or something like that, which is why there are eagle monuments surrounding this area. Something like that, some cool lore behind these eagle monuments would be great to have. And then we've got this small cafe sort of like park sort of area. As you can see, the hedges are in the shape of an anchor, kind of relevant to the fact that we're right by the coast, and this would predominantly be a kind of water maritime based sort of city, but we're yet to venture out that far just yet, but in the future we will. So that's quite a nice little addition. And then we've got a nice little walkway that goes through the centre here. I've got this little park in the centre bit. I've deleted some of the parts that would block up our pathway and got rid of the fencing, which is fine. And then we've just got a few trees in this section crossing over the bike lane, and then two large bike parking areas. Change the surface underneath those as well, just to make them autosave, just to make them look a little bit nicer. And I think that small area doesn't look too bad at all, in my opinion. I think that's quite nice. So now we need to work on this area and decorating it a little bit, and then once we've done that, we can focus on the rest of this and building it up to something quite nice. Okay, so a few more changes have been made. As you can see, the kind of park area is coming along quite nicely alongside the river. Various few things here that we can have a look at. So obviously the key thing is the eagle monument, but then we've got various different paths scattered around. So we've got a little outside gym, a little seating area, a few of these longer parks where you can just sit and relax on the benches. As we come around again, similar sort of vibes, just lots of different little places to chill out. Then we've added an extra cycling sort of area here. Ooh, look at all of our park maintenance vans coming in to maintain our parks. But yeah, I think this looks quite cool. I think it's quite a nice looking area, and once we fill it out, it will certainly look the part, I hope. And then you'll notice in this section here, we've kind of just created sort of a long strip of vehicular parking along this kind of space, just to fill in the gaps that we kind of had down there, which I actually think looks quite nice, to be honest with you. Just to add that in here and there, but we're probably going to go with even can't even speak, either an underground or an overground parking, quite a large one somewhere in this area. I'm not entirely sure just yet where that's going to go, but we'll figure that out when we get to it. But yeah, cool, it's coming along quite nicely. It's certainly given those nice sort of vibes, investment vibes, where they've spent a lot of money on this to make it into a kind of a uni sort of area. I really like it. So along the front of this sort of portion that's facing out towards the river, I kind of want to use Sully's brickworks because they look really nice, and they kind of just fit in anyway. If I just place one for you to look at, they kind of just fit in pretty much anywhere because they're not too too far in either direction of American or Europe. I think you'd definitely see something like this in Europe as well as probably in America as well. So I want to use them kind of probably along this section here and maybe along this section here. I think it's just going to be a nice addition. We are going to have to do a little bit of messing around with all of the extras out the back and stuff like that. But it's certainly a challenge that I'm willing to face. So yeah, I'm probably going to go with these. We're going to try and fill out this area to begin with and then see how it looks. If it looks alright, then we'll continue and see how we get on. Obviously, if it doesn't look great because of my building, then we'll change it. It is what it is. But yeah, so let's have a little look. So we got that one there, which is actually fine. We could probably vary these in sizes as well. So there are a few differences between them all as you go through the levels, as you can kind of see here, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, there are a few changes and differences, and they all have their all own separate sort of entrances on the side and stuff. So we are going to have to do a lot of fiddling with them all to try and get them right. So we'll just have a little mess around, see what we can come up with. So this one is going to intrude on this sort of bike lane quite a lot, as you can probably tell. But I'm wondering if we can actually combine this into one sort of like bigger building. So if we went around the back here and had a little mess around with some of these things, exact match. So we pick up all of those, and then we probably pick up those two just to try and blend it in as one building would be quite nice. So, I mean, they're fine outside the front. Maybe we'll even pick up these things here, and then potentially if we could grab some of these fences and try to ooh, that's not quite what I was after. Something like this, and we can kind of connect all the fences back up together manually, and hopefully we'll be able to create this. It's really fiddly though, that's the problem. Right, put it there. That'll probably have to do to about here, and see if we can hook that fence up to that sort of idea, and then we'll try to manually slap one in just in the middle there. Hopefully that will fit like that. I mean, it's not perfect, it's never going to be perfect, but it's still, it makes it look like it's meant to be there, which is the main thing. And then we'll just grab another line through here. Where are you going? You're not going to be able to get in there anymore, son. Just like that. I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but it sort of does the job to make it look like it's all one instead of not. And I'm of the mind that I wonder if we can just lower that down slightly, which will mean that there wasn't that weird kind of overlap. And hopefully that should all look as one. Yeah, good. And what I'm probably going to do as well is we'll get rid of that parking there, and then we'll put down our own decals out in the back, just to kind of make it look a little bit more normal. So if we just did those there, and then those out the back here, and then with this section there, ooh, what do we want to do there? Good question, Sonny Jim. I'm not sure actually, you know. Not too sure what we want to do with that. There's not really a normal 3er, is there? Not that I can see. So potentially we can just... No, we'll just add a few like decorations and stuff in there, I think. And so maybe if we just... oh man, this is difficult now. Difficult. Maybe that'll just be our bin storage. That would make the most sense in my opinion. We just put our bin storage here. And then our bin men can... sorry, not bin men. Bin people can come in here and get their bins. Very simple. Like that. Cool. And that almost looks like it's all in one. If we just do that, so nobody can park in front of the bin, so the bin workers can come out here. That'd be great. And that kind of looks like it's one building, although the sun shadows doesn't do it justice, which is a bit annoying. But I could probably adjust the sun shadows, but I think that looks alright, to be honest with you. I don't think that's too bad at all. Nice vibes, in my opinion. Oh, autosave. Woo! So I've just added a few things out the back as well. Some additional parking for both bike and cars. I've added a small little water tower just to prop itself behind here, as you can see. And then blended in with a few bushes, different surface type, and a few trees. And we've already got people moving in down here, which is really nice to see. And I think that's quite a nice little addition just along the side there. We probably want to go with similar sort of vibes along this section. And we also need to put our King Tower down, which at the moment I think the King Tower would look quite nice. Probably here, I reckon, on this corner. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Right, so let's take a look at what we've done. So around this side, obviously we've got the same sort of buildings which we've adjusted ourselves, kind of making them all as one. We've added a nice little tennis court, custom made tennis area just out the back here, to fill in a bit of space and give kind of sporty sort of vibes to it, somewhere for people to practice. And then down in this section as well, we've obviously customized our fencing and bins and stuff like that, so that this fits in pretty nicely with the shapes of the road, which I think looks quite good in my opinion. And then all the way around the front, it kind of just has the same sort of look to it. Looking pretty decent, to be honest. I think that looks quite nice. It's definitely a nice sort of area to be in. Kind of a, you can imagine student accommodation living in there. I think it would be quite cool, quite nice. And I do like the fact that the tennis court is there as well. It's just nice sort of vibes to it. This area is looking quite good. It's coming along. We've got lots to do, but nevertheless, I think it's looking pretty decent at the moment. So the next thing that we want to focus on is probably this kind of double area here. So obviously we've got King Tower to place down, and we also need some more kind of slightly higher sort of density buildings that blend in with this sort of area, that we can kind of say is student accommodation as such, because it makes sense, because they won't all live in here. Certainly the towns and cities that I've been to, a lot of student accommodation nowadays is actually quite modern buildings, sort of like similar to this, relatively tall, quite modern looking because they've been recently built. So I think the first thing that we want to look at is potentially these apartments, which do actually look quite similar to like somewhere that you'd expect to have students living in. And they can obviously, you can rent them out as apartments if you want to, but I think it's just kind of the right sort of idea, and it certainly blends in with this sort of skyline just a little bit as well. So I think I'm quite content with having that building. I don't think that's going to cause too many problems at all. So I think we'll keep that one. And I might see, this is actually not the initial plan. This has kind of just come to life in the last few minutes while I've been building and thinking about what I'm going to do. So this is our King Tower, which is going to be the tallest building in Kingsmere, and I'm thinking potentially having it placed over in this section. The initial plan was to be here because it looks quite nice. It'd be nice having that fine sort of architecture looking out onto the central sort of boulevard area, but if you actually put it down there, it looks just a little bit out of place with all of these buildings, if you know what I mean. So potentially I think we should probably maybe give it a home around there, and I think that probably blends in just a little bit better. than it did before, I think. And what a building it is. Wow. This has only just been released on the workshop. It's not the workshop, PDX Mods. And it is so beautiful. I absolutely love it, which is why I've picked it, because it just looks so good, and it's a nice shape. You don't get many buildings that are not just squares, so yeah, fantastic. Who created this, please? Mishanya Mods. Props to you. Absolutely beautiful looking building. Absolutely beautiful. And I think that's alright there, to be honest with you. I don't think that's too bad at all. And what I might do is just draw out these surfaces so that they go all the way to the edge, like so. He says, as they don't go all the way to the edge. We just want it to overlap with the road slightly so it covers all of that gap in, just like that. And then we'll fill in all of this side too, like that. And then that kind of feels like it's meant to be there a little bit more, doesn't it? And that kind of looks like more student accommodation to me as well. I don't think that's too bad at all. And let's just fill in some space down here with a few maybe, I don't know, benches, whatever you'd expect down here. So let's have a look at the props. There we go. So I've added a small statue, a couple benches, bins, and these little boulder things as well, so that people don't park their cars on our lovely plaza. But I think that's quite nice, and most importantly, we need to rename this to King Tower. Fantastic. And that is now officially our tallest building in the whole of Kingsmere. It is taller than these, as you can see. It's not massively taller, but it is taller, which is awesome to see. But it's not too overwhelming either. It kind of just sits there, doesn't draw too much attention. It just looks nice and modern, and it does look like student accommodation to me, in my personal opinion. I think that looks fine. No dramas at all. So over in this section near King Tower, we've kind of filled in the gaps a little bit. So obviously we've got the King Tower itself, and then the residential building that we placed behind it. To the left, we've used this kind of modern sort of bookshop building. It might not be a bookshop, but whatever it is, I think it just kind of fills in that space a little bit. And then we've got another similar style of building to King Tower, just on the corner's edge, just over here, just to keep that kind of density flowing in that portion at least. And then out the back, we've put a couple of custom tennis courts with a few pathways, a bit of decoration and all that stuff, just to kind of fill in some of the gaps, as you can see. And then down at the front, we've got some of the leisure venue assets, because if this is a student village area, we need somewhere for them to go and chill. So we've got a small little Eclipse like nightclub kind of bar sort of vibes, a small riverside grill, a parking area which is actually underground just down here, and then a small little restaurant as well just on the corner. I'm in two minds about this, because I don't want to sway too much away from the British sort of vibe, obviously, but I think just that little cluster there might be okay, because quite frankly we don't have any other UK assets. We've pretty much used nearly all of them, so we're just trying to fill in the gaps and stuff like that, using as many assets as we can. I mean, as a whole it still looks pretty British, I think, and just having a couple of different ones here and there doesn't make a massive amount of difference. So just for this portion here, we've just made a few adjustments, as you can see. But I think that looks perfectly fine. No issues there. We've got quite a lot of people using our walkways now, which is pretty nice to see. Pretty good to see. A few people sat around in the tennis areas, which is cool. These people just seem to walk and stand. I have no idea what they're actually doing. Oh, I didn't realise that we had encroached onto our cycle lane here. We might have to do a little bit of move it there, because yeah, it's pretty tight, isn't it? Cool, no problem. We'll do a little bit of move it. But yeah, nevertheless, I think this area is coming along nicely. We've still got a few gaps to fill in here and there, which is fine. But yeah, I think it's coming along pretty good, and we'll work on filling in the rest of these holes. So in this central kind of area that we've got going on here, I would quite like to have it being a quite nice green space, a few anemones there, a little cafe, a couple of places to play some sports, stuff like that, just to give our uni students something to do while they're not studying. So I think within this section here, I'll be looking at the kind of the main vocal point potentially being something similar to this right in the middle, which would be quite nice. I think this one's a little bit too big for us to do exactly what we want to do with it, even if we were to whack it this side, it's just going to overlap on our bike lane a little bit too much. So I think we'll probably go for something maybe this sort of vibe, a little bit smaller, but nevertheless does the job. And if you have a look at it, it looks quite nice actually. It looks pretty detailed for what it is already, so that helps us out massively, time wise anyway, not having to detail all of this. So initially I'm just going to start by bringing out the pathway connections to various parts within the park. So we'll just connect it up so that people can move around freely to all of the places that they need to go. If it wants to do that for me, that would be great. Just like that, and then at least they've got some sort of connections that way. I'm trying to think of what we kind of want, so I'm thinking maybe a very small, very small football pitch here. And if we try and find one actually, is it going to be under football? Probably not, because football pitch, that'll probably do. So something this sort of size would fit relatively well in here, in this little section. That's quite a decent sort of size, to be honest. If we can potentially, we want to try and get that relatively well, because I think if we connect these pathways up too close together, they just go a little bit weird. So if we just do that, good. So that will link up there, which is fantastic. That's connected to the roads. Can we link you up to there? Yes, you can, which is good. I think this sort of area is just going to kind of be empty land. So what I might do is go with a few bushes, etc. initially, just along this sort of area, just to kind of cover it in and keep it kind of like it's out of the way and away from the road, so that people can enjoy it without worrying about what's going on outside of that area. A little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. Nice colours in there. Okay, all right, good. Next, I think down these sections, if we could potentially look at some sort of tennis areas, would be great. So we click tennis and see what comes up. Oh, you know what was good that I've just seen disappear, which would have been pretty perfect. I mean, that's quite cool. That would be cool to have there. However, that's not what I was actually looking for. I think, would it have been in here? Yes, this community playing fields. I think that will actually fit in this section a little bit better. Although that is cool, we could probably fit this in. It's more like a six-a-side sort of vibe. For those of you that don't play football, don't know football, six-a-side is normally you play with 11 people on each team. Six-a-side is more on a smaller pitch, close quarters. It's blimmin' tiring, I can tell you that for free. Especially at my nice ripe age, it certainly takes the life out of me. But just having that there would be quite nice. I think that's quite good. Let me just do this, and hopefully pick these up, or will it not let me? Pick them up, boy. Is it not going to let me because this is all on top of it? How annoying. Let me just grab these. Pick them up. Oi! There we go. Come on. There we go. There we go. There we go. These are the things that you don't see that I usually edit out. Me just fighting with the game. Cool. What I don't like is these trees, because these are the particular trees that as soon as you move more than 1 square centimetre away, they tend to disappear. So we're just going to grab a couple of very small apple trees, probably this sort of size, and just replace them just here. And hopefully when we zoom out we have a little bit more space. Good. Good. I quite like this sort of area, you know. It's quite nice. And then we want to bring our pathways back through. So I might actually do this. Hook that up all the way across there. Hook that all the way down to here. Have a little connection that goes just like that, and then we'll link that one up as well if we can. That's not quite right, is it? Not quite right. Why is it not quite right? I think it's just the angle that it goes in at, isn't it? But that's fine. At least then we have a few more connections, and what I might do is actually bring this grass that's encroaching over all the way out. So if it's bugging out, then we just make it work for us by doing that. Good, right. We're making a start. We need to fill in the rest of these spaces, and hopefully we'll get something nice going on. Now let's have a little look at our new park area, and I think it looks pretty nice. So we've got 2 different types of tennis courts, different types of surface textures here, with the nice pavilion in the middle, and then the small sports area with a football pitch, a couple of basketball sort of pitches, and social areas as well, which is quite nice. I think that kind of blends in pretty well. I think that looks quite nice. Autosave, really. Yeah, let's have a look. I think that looks pretty good. I think that is a good vibes sort of area. We obviously have this rectangle-ish to fill in still, but nevertheless I think that kind of area looks pretty good, and I don't think any of it's too overwhelming either. I think it's just a pretty simple, nicely detailed, slightly modern sort of location, which is a pretty good sort of like student village, to be honest with you. Everything you kind of need is there. Your food and your social areas, your sports, all sorts of things there, your nice outdoor areas. So yeah, pretty good. Now we just need to figure out what we're going to do with this rectangle. Okay, I'm kind of happy with how this has turned out, surprisingly. I didn't have my hopes up to begin with, because I spent a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to put here, and then shutting down that idea, getting really frustrated because I had no ideas, and then eventually we managed to kind of pull something together. So the uni sort of student village sort of vibes, which I think it looks pretty good. Down in this end I just added a couple more of the brickworks buildings alongside here. I added a additional road just in there, and out the back we've got parking along here. And I think it looks pretty good. And I'm just trying to think of a name, and I think that probably a decent name, being something simple, would just be like Brookfield Park or something like that. So I'm going to do that initially, but if one of you come up with a better name, then feel free to let me know. But Brookfield Park looks pretty good, although there's nowhere to park on the roadside. We're going to charge them anyway. Urban cycling, yeah, cycle, all of this sort of stuff, not really bothered about, to be honest. And we've got just over 1,000 people, or students if you believe it, all living in this beautiful Brookfield Park area here. Obviously Victoria Square is down there. Oh, we're running out of vehicles. And then we also would like to do is just add a few bus stops in this section, and we're going to keep it quite simple. We're just going to have a little bus sign here, one along here, and we'll have, where do you want to go? Probably just one here. A nice and simple area. Yeah, I think that's fine by me. So they just go from the bus station to here, to here, to here, and then back. Or alternatively, they come down here, tap into there, down that road, and then back this way. I think that's probably more sensible. We'll do this like that. I think is probably best. All on one side. We don't really need a massive reverse route because it's only up the road really. So what we'll do is we'll create a small bus route. We'll use this one here. It looks like we're going to need some more buses, and we're going to have it come down into here, down into there, into here, slap that in there, bang bang bang, and we're going to skip all those bus stops and go straight back to the bus station like so. We'll have a look at our line, and this is going to be called Brookfield Park, like that, and then we'll change that to a red, of course, just like all of the other buses. We don't get many people using them, to be honest, which, to be fair, I'm not even surprised about. They're not the best routes in the world, but there's still a few, and we're just about scraping into the money there as well. So we're gonna need some more buses, and that might be because I've been fiddling around with the funding here, which will put us into the red very shortly. So transportation, I mean, that is at 100%. Should we just reduce the buses per line? Is probably the smartest thing, because that's got 9 buses. We definitely don't need 9 buses. We could probably just do with 5, to be honest with you. We'll have 5 for there. Did that save? For Kings Park, we're not getting much activity on there, so we'll just have 4 running through there. Willow Ash has got 4. Why are you? No, don't move from there to there. We want you to have 4, hopefully, and then hopefully these guys should disperse their buses a little bit better. Fingers crossed. Hopefully. Who knows? Not me. But, I mean, it's not being used very much anyway. But nevertheless. Look, it's still doing it again. Boo, why are you doing this to me? Oh, we've got 18 out of 17 buses, though, which is fantastic. We've got 1 returning. Don't know. Maybe we need to drop off 1 more. Because that only needs to be for... that's fine. How many did we want? We definitely don't need that many for here. We only need 2 for Brookfield Park, because it's a very short route with not many stops. And I'm hoping with 2 there, however many there, that should even it out, because that's 18. And I think we've only got 18 buses. Well, we technically do, and we have acquired an extra one. Somebody's stolen a bus. But it's fine. Anyway, should we have a cinematic to say hello to Brookfield Park? I think so. And here we have it. Today's episode comes to a close, and to be honest with you, given the difficulties that I had thinking of what to build, I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. I really like Sully's brickwork buildings. They really have a nice sort of vibe, a kind of neutral vibe to them. The feeling that you can kind of use them anywhere and everywhere, which is really good. We've got a few unique features in this build as well, like the lighthouse anchor sort of cafe, this nice park area with a few amenities and sports grounds, and some taller sort of buildings in this section, like the King Tower, which is now the tallest building within our city. Plenty of biking facilities. We've set up the bus route that goes through, which again is fantastic, and I think it's come along pretty nicely. Yeah, let me know what you think about this. It's probably not everybody's cup of tea. A lot of people probably have differing opinions on this area, but it's just kind of trying to blend the new sort of modern times with the old traditional English sort of town, and I don't think we've done an awful job. I don't think it sticks out like a sore thumb. I think it's quite a nice sort of area. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. But let me know what you think, because I always want to know what you think. Thanks again for all the support in this series. Let me know what you want me to build in the next one, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.